everyone, welcome to the Undercut, and today we're going to be talking about and discussing the title, the championship. It seems to be a big topic of conversation, but we've never had just like a discussion about the championship in general. Like, after the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc, and Oscar Piastri are all 100 points within reach of Max Verstappen. Does this mean we've got potentially a four-way championship battle on our hands with 7 races to go, or is it more looking like Max might run away with it?
I mean, look, there's four drivers with the possibility of the championship. There's like the way that Oscar's driving at the moment, the amount of points that he's taken, it's clear of everyone else on the grid.
Yeah.
So he's in the form of his life. So all the way down to Oscar, you can't discount him. I think Max has that buffer that he needs with 7 races to go. But as we've seen as well, that's 6 races now. Max without a podium.
Yeah.
All it takes is a Lando, a Charles, or an Oscar. 3 wins on the bounce. Max down in 5th, 6th. It's close.
Yeah. The only thing I will say about this that maybe kind of puts me off a little bit is we've had this conversation even way back when in Imola, Canada, Monaco time. We were having this conversation. Yeah. And the fact that nothing's really changed since then kind of tells me that Max is still going to win it.
No, I would agree. I would agree. I mean, Max knows what he's doing. He knows what he needs to do. It's one of them where if that Red Bull doesn't improve and he is 5th or 6th all the time, and Lando or Oscar or Charles do go on a run of wins like we've seen Max do at the start of the season, I think there is a bit of squeaky bum time in there. But I think it is Max to lose still. He's got that buffer and he knows what he's doing. So I wouldn't be surprised if Max wins it still quite comfortably. But there is a fight coming.
There is. I think ironically for Max and for us as well is the thing that is kind of helping Max at the moment is that it's so close. And we as fans have been arguing for a close championship for so many years. Since 2021, we've been arguing for a close championship. We want to see different driver win a race every weekend, which is what we're getting right now.
Yeah,
we're getting an Oscar, then a Charles, and a Lando, then we're getting a Charles again, then maybe a Russell, a Hamilton. It's happening. That is happening right now. But ironically, that is also what's stopping a championship battle. Because
it's helping Max.
It's helping Max because they're all taking points off each other. If it was just Charles, then we might have it. If it was just Lando, we might have it. If it was just Oscar early in the season and his form now, then we might have it. So it's one of them, isn't it? Like, it's a difficult one. We want the close racing. We want the uncertainty of who's going to win, but they're all taking points off each other. So, and with that. Yeah,
that's why I think Max will secure it again.
Yeah.
Because they're taking points off each other. But if one of them can step up and become that leading chaser, as you would say, to Max Verstappen, if one of them can step up and get consistently wins like Lewis has done, like Max has done, like previous champions have done, then 3-4 races time, we could see that points gap come down from, say, Norris, is it 66 points, something like that? 60, high like 60s.
That. Yeah.
Come down to about 10, 15 in like 3 races.
Well, yeah, and we say this every weekend, but, all it takes is one DNF from Max and a win from either Charles, Lando, or Oscar, and it's looking quite tasty.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you're going to go down one avenue, is Max going to win this championship?
If I was to bet right now on who's winning the championship, I'd still keep my money on Max.
Yeah. You got to, haven't you?
I would. He's got the buffer. He doesn't need to be on the podium in these remaining 7 races to win it, as long as one of them doesn't go on a run of wins.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if Lando goes from the next 4 races, wins all 4 races, and Max finishes 5th, yeah,
That's
it's
60 points.
It's not looking good,
swing.
is it? Yeah, exactly. And suddenly that gap comes down to under 10, if that happens.
Yeah. Which could be quite tasty. But this is the thing, we've been saying this about Lando all season, and it's just not happened. Zandvoort looked like it could be the beginning of that, with how dominant he was. But since then,
we've had a Charles win and a Piastri win.
Based on the current form, who do you think is more likely to challenge Max later on, say, towards Abu Dhabi time?
Lando Norris.
You still think Lando Norris has got the cheese, so to speak?
Looking at the tracks coming up, I wouldn't discount Charles potentially getting in there. It depends with that Ferrari. Sometimes, like, you could go into a weekend now and that Ferrari be number 1 car, number 2 car, or it could be behind and be number 4 car.
Yeah.
The McLaren's stability of being 1 or 2 consistently weekend in, weekend out makes you edge Lando and Oscar.
Yep.
And I think, obviously, the quotes coming out around Azerbaijan was McLaren are now going to prioritise Lando as well, which obviously we didn't see because Lando was so far down. But if they do start prioritising Lando, then Lando is your main guy to challenge Max. Not only on points, because he's the closest, but on ability at the moment. Obviously, Oscar's had a fantastic race in Azerbaijan. No discredit there. But on ability, on pace, on consistency, I'd edge Lando still to be the one.
Yeah, I think you have to. People will say recency, recency bias is a big thing in the sport, and this is something we spoke about all year, but especially when people were hating on Charles in the beginning of the season. That was weird. That was a weird time. Looking back at that was a weird time.
It was.
Everyone saying Charles is washed. He's not as good as everyone says he is. Carlos is... Sure, man. Like, we put out a video, I remember. We put out a short, and everyone was just like, "Oh no, you're so wrong. Charles is washed." I was just,
a lot of people said.
Just shut up, man. Like, looking back now, that looks stupid. But the same thing's happening with Piastri. Like, Piastri's a fantastic driver, possibly a future
100%.
world champion. He's got talent, but Lando, I think you're still back Lando.
I think at the moment you'd still back Lando. I mean, look at next year, though. You might put Oscar Piastri in that championship question. But
100%.
I think this year, if McLaren do want a drivers' championship and Max is down 5th, 6th all the time now, and you've got your cars battling 1, 2, and 3 with the Ferraris in that, I think McLaren will start prioritising Lando to try and get him that championship, because obviously they're leading the constructors now.
Yeah, they're leading the constructors. It only makes sense to prioritise the driver that has the most points within reaching distance of Max Verstappen. It only makes sense. And unfortunately, I do think it is a little bit too late for McLaren, and I still think Max will win. If they had this mentality coming into, say, the Hungarian Grand Prix, and they let Lando win as much as it would have upset Oscar, if they had that conversation prior to the race and said, okay, if Lando ends up in front, we're not going to swap the positions because of the championship. But Oscar, if you win on track on merit, that's fine. But if somehow the positions get switched, we're going to leave Lando out front. If they had that conversation, I think at this point in the season, I think we're looking at a completely different landscape. Because then I don't think Oscar attacks Lando so aggressively in Monza. I think Lando goes on to win the Italian Grand Prix. I think then Lando wins the Hungarian Grand Prix. Maybe Lando has a bit more confidence. You don't know what
Belgium might have been different.
Belgium might have been different. So there's all different circumstances that could have happened, coulda, woulda, shoulda. But I think it's a little bit too late for McLaren personally, and that's why I think Max will still win. But if someone is going to do it, it's got to be Lando, I think.
I think you'd still look at Lando. I mean, if Ferrari have turned their car around and are there, Charles ain't far behind either.
He's not, but this is one reason why I don't think it'll be Charles, is because although it's interesting, he could if he's really consistent and really gets a few wins in. Yeah. As Baku showed, Baku was the one race this season, maybe bar Monaco, where we're like, yeah, Ferrari out front. Ferrari are the team to beat. McLaren still won.
Yeah.
Let's put that out there. McLaren still won. So it's I don't think Ferrari have the consistency to be able to challenge.
No, they don't. I mean, it is difficult. It is difficult, but McLaren are the basis of a car, probably the best car on the grid at every track, nearly now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well,
you got to look at Lando.
Yeah. We'll see, won't we? Obviously, preview for the Singapore Grand Prix coming Thursday. Our predictions are going to be quite juicy because you never know who's going to be out front. But with that said, let us know in the comments below. Who do you think can challenge Max for the title, and will Max win? And we'll see you on Thursday.